No editing, it's defense up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're going to be going over Wolf's defense. Wolf has lots of good stuff. Wolf knows how to build a good defense. Some mistakes in here that kind of irk me, but some other interesting things that he's doing that really make me feel good. One thing that we're going to talk about is his wave 1. He has a traditional wave 1 defense, and I was recently pointed out to some ideas of some things that we're going to do. So hang in there for the wave 1. You can always check in the description for the list of defenses, and then just slide the slider till you see them here in the window if you want to skip ahead to certain things. So if you're interested in that wave 1, you can just slide ahead to that. We grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. Team number 1 is a Fantastic Four defense without She-Hulk. Now, I understand people hate She-Hulk. I hate She-Hulk. I have a 7 red She-Hulk, and I'm thinking about making her fully maxed because I hate her so much, and it's like a thing here on stream. But I understand that people hate her and don't want to build her. I'm not sure if Captain Marvel is a good fit for this. The bonuses, the war bonuses specifically to defense that She-Hulk gives this team are substantial. You have a respectable investment in this team. Your power levels are super wonky, right? So people are going to come in here 475 team and they're going to try and blow it up, but there's no She-Hulk in there taking away the negative effects and throwing them back. So you could punch way up with a small Black Order or something like this, which normally you could not go into this with a Black Order. I like your ISOs. They're great for this team. You've got Skirmisher on the people who need to be Skirmisher and Striker on the people who need to be Striker. You could make Captain Marvel a Raider and get more vulnerables on the team, and this team is all about calling assists. You know, the Mr. Fantastic has him call assists and stuff. I would like to see you balance out the power levels of this team. I mean, this team's kind of slow to get rolling, and Captain Marvel comes out with that opener pretty quick, and so maybe that would help, but she's so power crept, she's not gonna like clip anybody off, you know? She's not gonna clap anybody off the field there. So I think you should put in She-Hulk. I think you should get She-Hulk to like a 70K at least. Throw her in here. Those war bonuses are really gonna help. Bring up the rest of the team. This team is being used at the high end. It's just a solid defense. It's not gonna fool anybody. It's not gonna net you DVs, but it requires some kind of a specific counter. It's a little bit challenging. You can't just use anything. People are saving their positive effect teams for this. You know, you can't use something that uses negative effects in here when you have She-Hulk. Without She-Hulk, it opens it wide up, and now you just need a big team to just crush it. And it's pretty old, so yeah. So I think this is kind of a big fail here. I think you're trying to utilize Captain Marvel, and you should be using her on maybe a Wave 1 Avenger team or something like that, or, you know, save her as a plug and play for offense. You could throw her in with your dad bros. I think she crits on the opening move. No, her opening move doesn't crit, but the secondary wave of it can. So it could give you that early crit if you want. I don't know. I just don't like her on this team. I think you should take her off. I think you're screwing up what could be a pretty good team, and you're otherwise doing a really good job with it. So for me, I'm gonna go with like a B- for me. It's a pretty big dent there not having She-Hulk. And if you don't like using She-Hulk, then for God's sake, throw in Namor and take them to offense then. You know, they can do some stuff. You could use them to go into them. Okay, team number 2. Hydra 2.0, kind of. It's the Hydra Zemo build. I love Zemo on this team. I think he's actually better for offensive teams. I think you should go with a Hydra 1.0 standard build and save Zemo for other things because he's so useful in offense. But he does make this team kind of a nightmare, you know? You kind of gotta go into it with your own Hydra Zemo team or something like that, your own Zemo hybrid team to counter it. Okay, let's see here. We could replace Trooper with Grenadier. Grenadier has that really good synergy with Zemo. If you're going to be running Zemo, I think Grenadier is the way to go. He gets called in on assists and stuff. Yeah, chat thinks your Zemo is pretty sexy. Yeah, otherwise, this is fine. You're doing okay. Skirmisher is a decent pick for him. You can also do Raider. Healer over here. Healer on him is an interesting pick. I always say I like to make all the minions fortifiers, and then they die and revive and come back with that extra barrier, and it makes them that much tougher to get through, forcing the people to come in with a Black Bolt, with a Zemo, with somebody who strips charges or kills and can't be revived kind of mechanic or something like that. So this is fine though, you're doing great. It's a little bit of a wonky number because most of your power is in Zemo. I'd like to see you invest a little bit more. I think this team is valuable for defense now that we have 10 rooms. It's a good filler team. So for me, this is, I mean, there's some things you could do better, but it's pretty good. I think for me, the most important thing is probably raise the power. As a secondary, you could be swapping out Trooper with Grenadier for a little bit more synergy. And then maybe you could think about changing those ISOs and then maybe take Zemo out and just run it as more of a filler team. So for me, it's an A- actually. There's a lot of different things you could do, but none of them are gonna net you that much of an improvement. Okay, team number 3. Here's the Wave 1 Avengers. Now, I am looking at maybe using my Skilletary on offense. They're actually big enough that they're one of my bigger 14 teams. So I'm thinking about investing some T4s in there if Scopely would ever give us some more T4s. Yeah, a little hot spot for me. Okay, for on this team, you need a placement swap with Black Widow and Hulk. You want your 2 tanks to the side with Black Widow in the middle going invisible, separating the other people so that chain attacks bounce around on Hulk and Captain America. Healer on those guys is great. Striker on her is fine. With Skirmisher on Hawkeye, you can do it the other way around. Doesn't really matter. She gets called for assists a lot on that Skilletary team and on this team a little bit. I kind of like her as a Skirmisher with Hawkeye as a Striker or a Raider even. And then Thor as a Raider is right. A lot of people make him a Striker. I don't think that's a good pick. I think Raider's the way to go. So I think you're doing everything right other than a placement tweak. But what we could be doing differently is taking Black Widow off of this team, putting them on the Skilletary team, right? And now you have a good offensive team that's very valuable. Kind of heavy on the T4 investment, but I'm looking at starting to spend the T4s because I just don't have enough good offensive teams right now. Taking Black Widow off of this team and then replacing her with Heimdall. Heimdall from the Asgardians, from the bench, from the garbage can, right? That Heimdall. He protects Thor from getting blinded, right? So that supernatural counter for this team is no longer very effective. The other thing is you can make him a Raider and get more vulnerables on the field and make Hawkeye a Striker, get more damage out of your team. You can start making like Hulk a Striker, and you'll have enough vulnerables on the field that Hulk's going to be getting more damage out there. Or make Hulk a Raider if you want. You could go nuts, you know? I don't think that the heals are as valuable as they used to be. I think probably the healer is the best for those two guys, but we could start looking into alternative stuff. You know, like a Skirmisher on Captain America, because he does remove some positive effects. Like there might be a case to do that. So you could do some interesting things. You could play around with this team a little bit. And I think that Heimdall on this team is a great fifth to replace Black Widow. And it removes one of the counters that you can go into this team. Because if I see Heimdall on this team, I'm not going into it with Supernatural. I'm gonna go into it with my Skilletary or something like that. So yeah. I think Heimdall could be an excellent replacement in there rather than going with Captain Marvel, who doesn't actually have much synergy at all with this team. The other thing is you could replace Hawkeye with Captain Marvel as a Striker and Heimdall as a Raider, and you're getting more damage potential out of your Captain Marvel on this team than you are on that Fantastic Four team. So there's some ideas that we can do with the Wave 1. As this team gets older, you got to kind of find creative ways to throw a wrench in the works. You always want to be thinking, what are people attacking into this with? Check your histories, look what they're attacking into it with, and then put a stop to that nonsense. All right. For this team, you're doing okay. I need a placement change to give it an A though. So I'm gonna give you a B for this team. They got to be war ready across the board. My microphone's in the way. See, 2 characters aren't war ready and you need a placement change. So that's a solid B right there. Think about how you want to protect it from future attacks. Team number 4 is the Mercs. You're doing pretty good on this team. I think we should trade places with Merc Lieutenant and Taskmaster. I almost called him Skirmisher again. Change places with Taskmaster and Merc Lieutenant. And then it's fine. Then I can give it an A. For now, it's an A minus. Oh, you need to make him war ready. Sorry. Yeah. We need war ready tunes here. So, okay. So that's a B. You get a B for the team. Make these two guys war ready. Give a placement change there. You could make him a striker since you have Shuri on the team. Not really worth it. This team's really getting old. There's a lot of things that beat it. That new, the new Magic team, the Magic Uncanny team, just absolutely crushes this. I think I punched up 180K the other day. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, so there's a B right there. Team number 5. Okay, Doc Ock Sinister 6. Everybody knows I hate this team. However, you're thinking about it. You're thinking about the reasons I hate this team. So thank you for that. You're throwing in Squirrel Girl with the cleanse, right? That's going to make it very tough for a Hella Natural team to come in here and stun him. It's going to make it hard to land blinds. It's going to make it hard for the symbiotes to get all those negative effects on this team, right? Because you've got 2 cleansers. Rhino adjacent to Doc Ock is going to be cleansing him if he gets blinded or when he takes his second turn. She's going to be cleansing on her first turn. So it's going to be really hard to land stuns and ability blocks and keep Doc Ock under control. So this is actually a pretty good way to help mitigate some of the liability that these squishier tunes provide for teams like symbiotes. However, I think the Axemen are still going to get in here and just blow this team up, right? I would probably try to offense up alt into Squirrel Girl, hopefully take out 2-in-1 with that Bishop alt. I don't know if it's going to work or not. So the Axemen are still going to destroy this, but usually your Axemen, your opponent's Axemen are usually too big for this, So they're looking for like maybe a newer player who skipped the symbiote meta and there's 300 level symbiotes. Well, now you've got her in there kind of defending against that. So you're thinking about it. Okay, we got Striker, Healer, Raider. Technically that's okay. Technically that's okay because you got 1 person throwing out vulnerables and 1 striker on the field. I think that you should change Rhino to a Raider. I think he works better as a Raider, getting more vulnerables on the field, but otherwise we're pretty good. I still think this team is a bit of a liability, but I like what you're trying to do here. I think there's some things that you could change. I'm going to give you a B+ for this team, which, you know me, that's a very generous grade. Okay, team number 6. Brotherhood Doom team. Nothing fancy here. We see this a lot. The biggest problem is that you've got 4 strikers and 1 skirmisher. Let's take Toad to a level 5 skirmisher at least. So thank you for the follow, my friend. Take Toad to a level 5 skirmisher so he is definitely clearing those positive effects. If you want to take him right on up to that blue ISO, like that 2.3, it's kind of a waste on Toad, I know. But it'd be nice if he put out double vulnerables on his attacks. That'd be kind of cool. The thing that you really need to do here, the number 1 thing that you absolutely have to do, change Blob to a skirmisher. If you change Blob to a skirmisher, then you'll get more vulnerables on the field, and then you'll have 2 people putting out vulnerables, and he's going to put out a lot of vulnerables because he's getting attacked all the time. You have 2 people putting out vulnerables, and then you'll have 3 strikers soaking them up. You could also make Juggernaut into a Raider. And you could make Magneto a Raider also, but then you'd have 1 striker. But that's kind of what you want. You want vulnerables all over the field stacked up so that when Doom goes boom, he really gets that damage to everybody. So that's what you could do. I need you to change him to a skirmisher. I need other people to build Blob as a skirmisher. He counterattacks every time he's hit. He's taunting a lot. You're going to get a lot of vulnerables on the field with that. So I need that to happen. This I would like to happen. This doesn't need to happen. That's your choice. But let's at least make him war ready. If not, take him up to, Toad up to 5, and then you'll have a really good team. You got good placement. You're getting the deflects on your tanks, so they're staying alive a lot longer. So yeah. Or I'm sorry, you're getting deflects on Toad, and for some reason I thought Doom was giving out deflects. Okay, you're getting deflects off of Blob onto Toad and Doom, and that's okay. You might consider. You could swap places with Blob and Doom, and that way Juggernaut is getting more deflects, making him even tougher to get through. Not really necessary. Toad's a little squishy, so giving him some deflects is probably a good way to go. So I won't dock you on the placement change, but it's something you could look into. I definitely need that ISO change though, and I need him to be war ready, so that team's a B. Team number 7. Here's your Kestrel. I think this is kind of a waste of Kestrel. I think Kestrel should go on that Secret Avenger team, be used on offense. But she's okay. If you're in a defense down adjacent room, you know, adjacent to security or security itself, then this is okay. They're blowing people up fast and they're going into those defense downs, and Kestrel's pinging, so you're getting a lot of value on this team. I hope that's the case. Let's see. We have 2 people giving out vulnerables and 3 strikers. Whatever. You could change Coulson to a raider if you don't want to get rid of Kestrel. And then he's putting out more vulnerables. But I do like his turn meter rewind on that basic. So, yeah. Is what it is. I think you should... If you're not security or adjacent to security, I think you definitely need to take her off and run her on the Secret Avengers. Throw in, I don't know, Silver Surfer as a raider, and then you'd be fantastic. You know, you'd have 2 strikers, lots of vulnerables on the field. But if you're adjacent to security, then Kestrel may be the way to go. I'm not sure. It's a tough call. I just don't like how you have 3 strikers and two people giving out vulnerables. I just don't think you're gonna have enough vulnerables. So, people are changing her to a raider, by the way. I know, sounds crazy. People are changing her to a raider. Believe it or not, there's good arguments to be made out there. So there's some things you could do, but you don't have to do, depending on what room you're in. It's kind of up to you. I'm gonna give you an A- for this, just because I'm like, it bothers me. But it is a solid team, and you're right on the cusp of something good. I'm gonna assume that you're security or adjacent to, and I'm gonna give you that A-. If you're not adjacent to security, then get her the hell out of there. Okay. Team number 8 is a Black Order. I think you need to swap places with Cull Obsidian and Thanos. Put Cull Obsidian to the outside, but keep Thanos adjacent to Cull Obsidian for that splash damage, that retaliation that goes on over there. Big no-no, though, is Ebony Maw as a healer. Ebony Maw does not have healing in his kit. He has drain in his kit. You are not getting much benefit off that healer at all. Please make him a level 5 skirmisher for the focus boost. That way, when people come into this team with an uncanny or the magic uncanny, at least he will be placing the ability block on Dark Phoenix, and then that means that they have to have that T4 on Magic's ult so that she removes it, right? You'll be limiting what they can do. You're forcing them to apply T4s into one of the common counters for this team by switching him over to a skirmisher. Also, the focus boost on all this other stuff is just great. You know, he kind of needs it. For a legendary, he doesn't have legendary focus. Otherwise, you're doing everything fine here. Maybe, that's fine. So yeah, so ISO change is the big one, placement change on the other, and I think you're doing okay. I'm gonna give you a B for that team. Team number 9, this is a really popular defense. This is really popular. I highly recommend if you want to run your new warriors on defense, this is the way you do it. However, this needs a placement change. Cloak gives out offense up to adjacent characters. She's only giving offense up to Surfer. That's a no-no. So let's swap places with Surfer and Dagger. Did I say Dagger? I meant Dagger. I get those backwards all the time. Let's swap places with Dagger and Surfer so that Dagger is giving out offense up to adjacent tunes like Deathpool. You could also swap places with Deathpool and Cloak so that Cloak's getting an offense up, but I don't think you really need it. I think Cloak's focus is good enough and he's doing lots of crazy fun stuff. Now, you have 3 strikers, 1 skirmisher. However, Cloak and Dagger both give off vulnerables in their kit. So not only is Cloak doing it with his skirmisher ISO, but he's also doing it via his ult in his kit, and she's also doing it via her ult in her kit. So I think you're getting enough vulnerables on the field. I think this is just an absolute fantastic build. If you had the placement swap, I would give you an A+ for it being a new, high-end, very effective team. As is, I gotta go A-, because that's really important that you swap places and start taking advantage of the offense up on her. Okay, team number 10 is Heroes for Hire. No big surprises here. I think maybe a placement swap with Shang-Chi and Colleen Wing. Put Shang-Chi as far away from Luke Cage as you possibly can. I like Iron Fist as a skirmisher. Yeah, as a skirmisher. I think the vulnerable on the field is more valuable than the healing that's going to be ability blocked, or the rejuves that are not even going to pop off because they're going to die and revive. So I think change him to a skirmisher and make that placement change. But honestly, those are pretty minuscule. Everybody argues about those ISOs and that placement. I think you're doing good enough that I'm going to go ahead and give you an A. It almost isn't even worth investing in because this team is already over that 400 power level. It's already drawing in a Weapon X team or an Infinity Watch, and that's all it's ever going to do. So I think it's good enough. All right, this has been Wolf's Defense Up episode. If you like what you saw, hit like, subscribe for more videos. I'm putting out a lot of stuff these days. You can find me in my Discord if you want to be featured on Defense Up. Links are in the description below. And remember, guys, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.